Hey all, we're back here looking at the Elfballv deck, and before I get started, I just want to say hi to my nephew Skylar, who started playing Magic recently, probably about 2 to 3 weeks ago. He's actually going to some Friday Night Magics with one of my old friends. His name is Rob. Rob and I actually started playing Magic back in Revised, Fallen Empires, Homelands, if anyone remembers back that far. But we basically bought revised starter decks and just sort of bashed each other with those for the longest time. Sort of muddle our way through the instruction books to figure out how to play, and eventually Rob actually bought, I think it was a Duelist or something, some sort of Magic magazine back in the day, and he was the first one of our small playtest group to come up with an actual Goblins deck, where he was running like lightning bolts and goblin grenades and things like that. So, but Skylar, I just wanted to say I hope you're watching, and I hope you learned something. And next time I'm over, I'll make sure to set up Magic Online so that way you can play. But getting back to the Elfballv deck, I did have a video recorded that was about an hour and a half long, only to realize at the end that I did not have the microphone turned on. So that was unfortunately not usable. But I just want to go over some of the deck. The deck has gone through quite a large revision since the last one. I think it was 3.6. You know, I thought about the deck some more, and one of the things I always thought about was Rancor. And typically when Rancor was used, you want to put Rancor on, say, like a 1/1 guy, or you know, a 0/1 guy, or very vanilla guy. And what you'd like to do is you'd like to trade it with their better guy. So you turn your 1/1 into a 3/1, then trade it for their 4/3 or 3/3 or something to that effect. Unfortunately, the Elfballv deck in Pauper here normally wants to keep as many elves in play, to make use of Timberwatch elves, to make sure you draw more cards with Distant Melody. So I initially didn't want Rancor because I didn't want to necessarily trade away my guys. I didn't want to say, I'll get through for an extra 2 damage, and then I'm going to lose an elf, and that was it. Well, the thing is when you actually start playing the deck is that a lot of times you'll be stuck with like 4 or 5 1/1s, and they'll put down a 2/2 or 3/3, and you can no longer attack pretty much. So Rancor helps solve that problem. Also, Rancor helps solve the my Timberwatch elves didn't live, or I never drew Distant Melody, or Distant Melody was countered. So so far, if you've watched any of the recent test games, Rancor's been very good. The other thing that I've added back in was the Huntmaster. The reason for that is because now that we have Rancor, those 1/1 creatures are actually very good. You get basically 2 powers worth of elves, or 1/1 elves, anytime you cast, say, a Llanowar Elf, or Quirion Ranger, or a Fyndhorn Elves, and then you can actually move Rancor around, or after it gets put to the graveyard, you can move it around. You can basically trade your 1/1 elf token with a Rancor on it for one of their better creatures, or just get through some extra damage. Some of the cards over here are the cards that we've taken out of the deck, and I just want to sort of go over those and why they probably weren't the best fit. Weirwood Pride was actually just replaced by Rancor. The reason for that is because, well, Rancor does a better job when Plan A, which is Timberwatch Elf Distant Melody, doesn't work. Suddenly, you have a bunch of 1/1 elves that you probably need to attack over time with. So Rancor is much better in that regard. Again, Elvish Branchbender, I spoke about him previously. I didn't think he was all that great. He's a 2/2 for 3 mana when he comes down, but if all your elves are wiped away, he's not that great. And that's sort of why I like the Huntsmaster in this regard, because even if the Huntsmaster, even if all your elves are wiped away, if you can lay a Huntsmaster, every elf that you cast after that is like a 2-power elf, basically. Elvish Guidance was sort of like another Priest of Titania. Unfortunately, it's an enchantment, and it's not an elf. And we're already sort of running a lot of non-elf permanents, or non-elf cards, such as Thermokarst, Land Grant, in this case Rancor, Distant Melody. So taking out more elves for Elvish Guidance was actually putting our elf count fairly low. Acid Moss. The reason I took out Acid Moss was because it is more disruption, but it is a 4 casting cost disruption. So I kind of like to have the 4 casting cost, since that's pretty much the top end of our deck. If you think about it, you're sort of ramping into it. You sort of want to you'd like it to make a very big impact, such as Huntsmaster. When Huntsmaster comes down, she can get, or he, I think it's a he can quickly get out of control. And of course, if you cast Distant Melody with 4 to 5 elves in play, that's also very good and very impactful as far as the game goes. So that's the reason why I took them out. I've been thinking about adding them back into the sideboard, but unfortunately we don't have a whole lot of room. And really the only matchup they're really good in, I feel, or above par, is against 8-post, and even then I'm not really sure how great they actually are, just because I've played a couple 8-post match. I'm still not sure our sideboard or main deck is actually tuned to beat it or have a good odds against it. So I'm just going to move these back. But pretty much now I feel the other thing I'd like to mention is we actually cut another land. I cut another forest. The reason for that was, as strange as it seems, I seem to get mana flooded with the deck sometimes. There have been games where I don't draw any land and I have to mulligan, but really, the deck is 2 casting cost guys. So when you get 2 land, you're pretty set. You can cast multiple things. If you ever get Priest of Titania online, or even just a Llanowar Elf and another Quirion Ranger, you have more than enough mana to function for just about the entire deck. So I was at 8 land, or I'm sorry, not 8 land. I was at 9 land and 3 land grant for a while. Unfortunately, I was mulliganing quite a bit more, even though it was a small sample size. I don't mind. I ended up taking out an extra Essence Warden for just the extra land grant. So so far, I've only played a couple more games with the 4 land grant, but it seems a lot better. So as far as the sideboard goes, the sideboard still is very much in flux. Some of the cards that I do like now, definitely Spider Silk Armor. There was a black-red Tortured Existence matchup that I was playing against, where Spider Silk Armor was basically the MVP. Sandstorm I put in over the Flashback Fog spell, and that was because not all of the Storm decks at the moment are the Grix color, or the black-red-blue colors, so they're not all running Duress. Invigorate, I like Invigorate mostly because it's a free way to keep your elves alive. There have been a couple instances where if I think I would have played it a little bit better, having the free Invigorate to keep, say, a Timberwatch Elf alive, or a Huntsmaster alive, or even just a Priest of Titania for 1 turn, would have been a game changer. So what ends up happening is the 3 life that they gain is pretty much nothing, as long as you can keep Timberwatch Elf in play, or Priest of Titania in play, or Huntsmaster in play for 1 more turn. Something that I noticed while I was watching some of the daily events is that there's tons of Affinity, and quite honestly, I'm not sure the best way to beat Affinity at the moment. Some people would think that Artifact Destruction would be the way to go. Unfortunately, your problems with Affinity at this time aren't really artifacts, it's the creatures that are non-artifacts. Granted, they still run Mirror Enforcer, Frogmite, because those are free bodies, but the problem guys are sort of like Atog. There's I can't remember his name now, but there's a 4/4 guy for a green and a colorless when you have Metalcraft. I think that's 3 or 4 more artifacts in play. Also, I think it's a Sky Chaser. He's a 1 white, 1 colorless for a 3/3 flyer. So the thing is not all of the problem with Affinity is not necessarily the artifacts. Now, granted, you could destroy their artifact lands, and that should in theory make your deck a little bit better, but I just haven't had a chance to play that matchup. Nobody's been playing in the tournament practice room, and I may have to just wait until I can get a daily event, or say maybe see it in the 2-man queues to see what my best options are. So right now, Fangren Marauder, that was the old standby against Affinity. Basically, he's a very large creature. He does cost 6 mana, so Really, I just have him in for testing to see if he's a viable option. I'm not sure, but we'll see. So I'm going to try to get some test games in. And we'll see how the deck fares. I do actually have some other test games to put up that I haven't yet. So, and those ones were against Teps and 8 Post. So I'll get those up as soon as I can. This one is very good for us, I believe. Since I don't know what I'm playing against, I'm going to go with Queer Ranger just so that way I can cast Sylvan Ranger next turn if I have to. Sometimes it might be actually correct to run Nettle Sentinel there. I'm not sure, because we could have actually got in for 4 with Nettle Sentinel, because we could have cast Rancor. This might looks like it's going to be White Weenie. So we'll see. In this particular case, I actually want to thin my deck out more. And what I'd like to do is equip Rancor on Sylvan Ranger. Unless, of course, he throws out a First Striker. Might have been okay to attack there. I'm not sure. Probably not. Queer Ranger is way more important than... this might be the... what is it's a Gond combo deck. So we'll see. I may need to get my own... I may need to have to get Essence Warden in here to hopefully stand a chance. I feel like I want to attack the green source. Actually, I think I'm going to attack the white source. Well, not the correct way for me to go. I'm guessing he's going to have Sprout Swarm here pretty soon, but that's just a guess. Let's see, what do I want to do? I want to get, no, I think what I want to do is get Birchlore Rangers into play. I think I can get the rest of my hand out. I haven't really figured it out yet, but I'm fairly sure. Pretty sure. And unfortunately, that's just my unfamiliarity with the deck at the moment. You know, if I had more games I get, the better I get at figuring out you know, what I need in play to cast the rest of my hand. Some of the test games you may have seen, I've actually miscalculated quite badly as far as what I needed for mana and how much mana I was going to get, how many elves I was going to have in play, so it wasn't that great. But I am getting better at it. If you've ever seen any of my Teps decks or Teps replays, I'm much more versed as far as what I need to do to get everything, like figuring out when I'm going to need to attack or figuring out my mana much better. And eventually I'll get that familiarity with this as long as I keep playing it, which I do have some intentions to do so. Alright, well, I'm hoping he does not have Journey to Nowhere or Sunlance or Oblivion Ring or a multitude of other possible spells, so that's good. Doesn't have those. Now, the reason I wanted to cast him first instead of attacking with Nettle Sentinel and then casting him is I wanted to get an extra 2 damage here, hopefully, with Timberwatch Elf. I think we're actually just going to attack with everything here. The thing is, I'm going to save Quern Ranger regardless. So if he wants to trade some of his guys, he's not going to declare any blockers. I wonder if he has the Moment's Peace already. It's the only thing I can really think of. But I'll risk it. Let's see what he's got. He had nothing. So I can say I was not expecting nothing. So this will be Sprout Swarm, which thankfully we can actually race. Even if he gains 6 life next turn, which he would be able to. Oh, let's scatter the seeds. Well, even gaining 9. Even gaining 9, we can still plow through as long as I get to untap Nettle Sentinel next turn. Well, that's as long as he doesn't draw something to kill Timberwatch Elf. Which, I'm not real familiar with this deck. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen anyone talk about it. So I'm not exactly sure the contents of this deck. My immediate feeling feels like he would have Sprout Swarm in here. For those who don't know, Sprout Swarm is 1 green, 1 colorless instant. Put a 1/1 Saproling into play. Buy back 3 colorless, and it's got Convoke, which means you can tap creatures to pay for its casting cost. So we play to scatter the seeds again. So sadly I'm only going to be able to attack with actually Sylvan Ranger this time. Which quite honestly is fine. I miss out on 4 damage, but I'm not overly concerned about it. So you gain another 12. I wouldn't be overly concerned if I was playing against this deck, mostly because I'm not sure what he's going to do with his 1/1s. Even if he had the ability to swarm, I don't think he'd ever be able to swarm profitably. Although I must say this would be a nightmare matchup if I was playing Teps or the Perfect Storm. I am going to take 2. I guess he's got to get in there sometime, right? So this is another good reason why Huntmaster is good in this particular version, because now every creature I draw is actually an extra 2 power for Timberwatch Elves. So, granted, it's sort of offset by the 4 Soul Wardens in play, but I definitely like having more creatures out there than less creatures, I guess. So we'll see if he's going to chump block. I don't think he is. There's not really any purpose to chump blocking. I can't think of anything, at least. I'm trying to think if it's worth... yeah, I definitely think it's worth... cutting his life total in half, which is pretty good. So in this particular instance, the sideboard, if I had Hornet Stings, those would be very nice. But I really feel that they're just so narrow. There's hardly any other matchups you really want them in. He must not have had any other creatures. Can honestly say I'm not even sure what we want. I forgot to save my changes for the Faint Green Marauders. I'll save those now. Sandstorm, I guess, because you know, we're gonna just try Glistener Elf, just for fun. I'm not too concerned about getting swarmed. The thing is, the typical 1/1 removal that he would bring in actually would wipe out his own board, except for the white creatures. Typically, Holy Day is brought in to counteract Storm. He might bring in Prismatic Strands. It's really tough for me to say. I'd be very surprised if he did not have the Gond combo deck. Oh. Well, this will be interesting. Get a little lucky and draw double Rancor. Maybe I should have put the I think I'm just going to cast Windhorn Elves here. Kind of like to get in for a point of poison, because I don't think he's going to block with Essence Warden. Might block with the plant. Oh, that's good. Okay. So we'll see if he's going to block with Essence Ward now. Thought he might. And that's okay. Really, Glistener Elf was just sort of a test. That's fine too. Oops, need to end my attack step. Yeah, Sandstorm really doesn't do anything unless I guess it can. The thing is, he's got a bunch of 1/1s to my 1/1s, so it's not like I'm going to be attacking with my 1/1s a bunch of times without, say, Timberwatch Elf. So, to me that was a little strange to bring in Sandstorm, but maybe he doesn't have any other sideboard cards. Or maybe he just thinks that that's a good choice to bring in. Although I'm not sure what he would take out, because I'm not sure of his deck. Feel like Scatter the Seeds is coming up here, and I'd actually like to keep my guys this time, because I do have Distant Melody. So normally I'd like to throw Rancor on something and just start bashing, but with Distant Melody I actually want to keep my guys. I'm guessing his hand is full of white cards and no planes. Well, if we were to get a Timberwatch Elf in play, it's party time. Yeah, being color screwed is not really fun. And there's our friend. So unfortunately for him, this gets out of hand really, really quick. Even if he has Scatter the Seeds here, I'm not overly concerned. I wish there was really wish that was put elves into play. I need to make a Scatter the Seeds with elves. Well, white mana is not good, because now we might have journeys or something. Seems strange that he would attack. I guess not really. I'm trying to think what some sort of pump spell somewhere, or he just wants to get in some damage. One of the two. Either way. Oops. I know where Elf is getting in there. I'm actually going to pump him twice, just in case he has a Moment's Peace. I actually don't want to set myself back on land. Seems a little ridiculous, but the thing is I could kill him next turn if I need to, so. Unless of course he gets down 3 type Essence Wardens or cast Journey to Nowhere. That was my other concern. So he was running Journey. So I could have got an extra 5. He would have been at 9 instead. Which would have been beneficial. Kinda need a blue mana, not gonna lie. No concern that the 0-1 plant keeps attacking. Unless I have another scatter, he didn't attack with Essence Warden this time. I think this is going to be okay. He's got another Sandstorm, I'm not overly concerned. Not even a scatter of the seeds. Which I was surprised at. I thought for sure he'd have scatter the seeds. No sprouts from him either. Or maybe he was just saving it for this turn, I guess. To get double the value out of it. I think he's gonna have Magnify or something. I don't know. Elvish Fury is a sorcery. So I'm not sure. He's just got Giant Growth? Strength in numbers? He has me dead here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. He's got me dead if he's got another strength in numbers. With 5 cards in hand, that's a good possibility. Although it probably would have... No, he didn't have the mana to cast it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. More men. So it's a little relevant that I didn't double pump Timbermaw. Because if he doesn't have any instant removal, I actually would have been able to kill him. It's not really... My only hope is to draw a blue source for Distant Melody at this point. And then I pretty much have to draw Essence Warden to even stay alive. Scatter the seeds for 9. It's definitely not the fastest deck in the world. And for anyone that's thinking that this deck is cool or would be fun to play, the problem with it is that you play 1/1 guys that don't necessarily win the turn you cast them, unlike Storm. Typically they win the turn you cast them. Not all the time, but I'd say 95% of the time they win the turn you cast them. So running do I want Sandstorm? Actually, you know, I think I will take Sandstorm. I'll get rid of Glistener Elves. So the thing is you cast a bunch of 1/1 guys, and typically sideboards are already tuned to beat 1/1 guys, so that particular deck is, I feel, fighting a very uphill battle. And even if you think about the elf deck that we're building here, the Elfballv deck, as you can see, I've taken quite a bit, over a third of the sideboard slots to deal with the the 1/1 -1/-1 hate that I'm going to see out of the sideboards, like Holy Day or Seismic Shudder, Festering Creep, Shrivel, Nausea. There's just tons and tons of hate. Okay, so this time I'm actually going to cast Nettle Sentinel first, because we are definitely in the beatdown role. We are not let me see, what do I want to do? Okay, it's Queen Ranger. Yes. Okay. I think what I should have done, should cast Birchlore Ranger first. Yeah, that's what I should have done. Oh well. Should have thought about it, I guess. Birchlore Ranger. I'm not sure it actually matters now that I'm thinking about it. I think I get to cast all my guys anyway. But I think typically you're going to want to cast Birchlore Ranger there first. I'm not sure if I could have squeezed a little bit more mana out of the turn. We'll see if he keeps green mana up. In this particular case, I don't necessarily want to attack into Sandstorm. Okay, Selfless Cathar. I actually want to kind of like to put another 2/2 out there, but Nettle Sentinel doesn't untap, which actually I think is okay. Actually, I can get him out there, actually. I can actually attack with both. Oh, just figure out what you're doing. Multiple ways for me to cast it, and it took me the longest time to figure out the easiest way to do it. Let's see, we got Scatter, the seeds. I'm not quite sure why he waits or why he casts on his turn, but typically that's an instant, so you would want to hold back. The actual best card that I could possibly draw next turn would be Distant Melody. And these are my triggers. I'm just sitting here waiting for him. That's always good. Pay attention to your own triggers, folks. Make sure you're putting them on the stack appropriately. Look, Ma, no lands. The reason we can interact with Birchlore Ranger is because we have another one if we actually need to get blue mana. That's if we need to get blue mana. And from what I've seen of his deck, actually the less Sapper lanes he has in play, the better it is for us. Well, I'm not going to necessarily be able to sort of need a Timberwatch Elf. Well, this will be interesting. Well, that is unfortunate. So now I have no blue mana at all. So now I hope I don't draw a Distant Melody, because I wouldn't be able to cast it now. So I maybe should have not sacrificed that guy. I wish he would play a little bit faster. Maybe that's a strategy for the game, is to frustrate you until you concede, which would be a valid tactic. I should know I used to play Stasis, for anyone that's familiar with Stasis. Okay. I'm fine with that trade. Problem now is that my attacks are pretty much just keeping par with what's him creating Sapper lanes. So I'm actually not making any traction. I'm not even sure what morph he would be running. attack now is because I don't want to trade a creature just for a sapling. At this point I pretty much need to get Timberwatch Elf in play, or that would be my only hope. See, it was quite odd, because now if he had that, is it Selfless Cathar? I'd definitely be more concerned that he would just swing and win. So I'm just going to thin out my deck a little bit. As you may have noticed, I'm a little bit dejected, only because I'm sure this is how most people feel when they play against Teps, is that they just sort of click F2, F2. And F2 some more. Okie dokie. If I get Timberwatch Elf in play and he doesn't have Journey Nowhere, I can actually probably kill him in 3 swings. Probably should have kept that. The unfortunate part is, I think he may time out before he kills me. For those of you on slow connections, playing a deck with tons of triggered abilities, not necessarily the best choice. Or slow computers. I'm interested to see what this guy actually is. Ooh, goody. Another one. So, hopefully he'll just kill me next turn, and I can finish this particular video. and then hopefully the next ones will be of some more interesting games. Well, we got 4 land left and 3 land grant. Two, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9, 27, so I get it for 28 a turn. It'll be 56. So I'd actually be able to still kill him in 2 turns. This looks like it's bad for me, but we'll see. Wasn't that bad. Maybe he just wanted to. Oh, that's good. So what I was saying before is you sort of get mana flooded, and why I took out one of the lands out of the deck is that you know, you only need a couple lands. So, and I would actually go down to less if you could reliably have 1 land in your hand every game. So unfortunately next turn I do have to Sandstorm. So if he's got, was it Trump the Domains, I think is what it was, I'm just toast. Which, since he's attacking with everything, it would appear that he does. I'm not even sure what I want to say. I'm just going to let him kill me. Alright, so unfortunately that game wasn't super exciting. Rancor's not going to do it. Timberwatch Elves would have done it, but you know, can't win them all, as they say, so and I'll get those other videos loaded where I play against more of the standard decks of Teps and 8 Post. So, till next time.